Alright, guys, here it is my executive cabinet. Disclaimer, I put a lot of thought into these decisions, okay? I tried to choose them based on like facts and evidence and logic, blah blah blah. Yeah, I tried to include as many of my followers as I could, but there's only like 15 positions, and really I just chose the people that I like interact with the most or that I'm like close with. So, anyway. Oh, obviously I'm the president. Next, okay, I know people are probably vying for this role, but I have a reason for why I chose Jacob. First off, he's my source of political news. He keeps me in the loop. He's got a strong head on his shoulders. And I think that if he were to be my vice president, he would be like the Princess Diana of America. Like, he's got that charm and that relatability that I think would work really well for our campaign and our time in office. Yeah, okay, next. Secretary of Education. This one seems simple, but there's more to it. So Nandy is an actual teacher, like for their job. But every time I see a Nandy tweet on my timeline, I really have to stop to take a second and think and reflect on the genius that I've just witnessed. It's really opened up new perspectives for me and new understandings, as you can see by this example. Okay, next. Oh, Secretary of Homeland Security. I've chosen Zap mostly because when we were playing Gartic Phone, he drew this Winston preventing 9/11. But he has like this kind of snarky, no nonsense attitude that I think would work really well in this position. He doesn't have time for terrorism. He's not fucking around. Like, he's gonna protect this country. Yeah, I guess that's really all I have to say for this one. But it makes total sense. Next, okay, speaking of making total sense, Secretary of Transportation, Alyssa. Now, this is because she's always traveling to see her friends and followers. She might have missed me on October, but I'll let it slide. I'll let it slide. Not to mention, she's always had this kind of charisma. She draws people to her in online spaces. So I think we could leverage this to gather support for the high speed cross country, like train system. I think we could really use her to get people on board and therefore expand our country's public transportation. All right, so Secretary of Veterans Affairs. I've chosen Maddie mostly because she is a Metal Gear Solid and Call of Duty fan. The games have like soldiers and wars and whatever, but she's also very empathetic and caring. And you can really tell by the way that she talks about said characters from these franchises. I think she'd be great for the role. For Attorney General, I've chosen Mac. They have a strong sense of justice, and I think we agree on most things. We share similar opinions. And at one point, Mac was a very trusted confidant of mine, and I don't think it would take much to get that going again. The Attorney General, from what I've read, provides advice and kind of represents the president in some of these hearings. I think Mac would be great, and I think we have a camaraderie that works very well. Secretary of State. Okay, hear me out, because this seems kind of negative, right? Vanny always arguing on my timeline. But the way I see it is that Vanny is not afraid to say what he's thinking. And Secretary of State is all about international communications and stuff, blah, blah, relations, whatever. And Vanny's no nonsense. Like, he'll say what he's thinking, and he's not afraid to call out whoever. And I think that would be good for our country. Someone who is ready to communicate and doesn't hold back. Okay, that's enough. Secretary of Defense. So initially I chose Mina, but I also wanted to include Bia. B. These are my Clarets. And Secretary of Defense. This is like military, war. Final Fantasy VII? Twitter? Shipping Twitter? That's a war zone. And similar to Vanny, I see them on my timeline, maybe a little bit aggressive sometimes, but it's not for the love of the fight. It's more defending the thing that they care about, which in this case is Clara. Like I said on the slide, loyal and dedicated to a single cause. And this would be applicable to our country's safety and borders. Next, Secretary of Labor. I've chosen Ness. Ness, well, I mostly chose him because he's my follower that tweets the most about going to work and being at work. But Ness gets a lot of submissions on his straw page, which takes time and effort. What is time and effort? That's labor. So he's already great at soliciting these things out of those that follow him. And he's also efficient, watching anime and playing games. He doesn't dally around. Like, he finishes it and he's on to the next. We're on to Secretary of Interior. Now, I didn't really look up what this position means, but I chose Bree because she has a fire gaming setup. It's so cute. And a super cute room, decor, little prints on the wall, and amazing, like, cutesy, kind of Lolita fashion sense. Yeah, I just took it to mean kind of decoration, and that's why I chose her. Secretary of Health and Human Services. So I didn't have much to go off on this one, but I chose Maya, one of my newer mutuals, because we had a discussion about Kingdom Hearts, and she said, "Oh, I'm kind of nervous and scared of these bosses." And you know what that told me? That she takes threats to personal safety very seriously. She's very cautious. She's also very personable, very easy to talk to, and so that's why I think she would be a great Secretary of Health and Human Services. So I chose Emmy mostly because Emmy is a Yume shipper. If you don't know what that is, that's like a self-insert kind of shipper. She ships herself with characters, okay? And that takes passion, dedication, and, you guessed it, energy. Energy to keep this going. And you know what? I gotta say, it's one-sided. It's a one-sided energy because he's not real. But also, like Ness, she is efficient, finishing that game and then moving right on. She takes just the right amount of time and energy on these specific types of media. Secretary of the Commerce. Of Commerce? I don't know, whatever. Okay, I chose Johnny, but Johnny, he's got this part-time job, right? They don't really schedule him that much. But guess what? He knows how to manage his money. He's got V-Bucks on deck. He's got trinkets, figures. Oh my god, he has a mountain of plushies, guys. It's kind of excessive. He's always acquiring new stuff. And I think that's a skill. It shows he knows how to stretch his money and get the most bang for his buck. Okay, so we're kind of getting into reach territory here. Secretary of Housing and Urban Development, I've chosen Kay. I just really wanted to include them. I've noticed a bit of yearning on my timeline, and that to me says that, you want a relationship, you want connections and family, which is domestic, which is housing. I don't really know how to connect that to urban development, but I don't think it matters. Anyway, I know in my heart that you would be good for this role. We're almost to the end here. Like I said, we're getting in reach territory. Secretary of Agriculture. I've chosen B. Self-explanatory, right? The name's B. They have like the cottagecore fairy vibes. They've got a little mushroom in their display name on Twitter. So for that reason, I think agriculture, plants, they just go together well. And I think they're best suited for the job. Lastly, Secretary of the Treasury. I chose Bonk. Really, I wanted to include Bonk. Bonk has a lot of life experience. They worked for Disney. Actually, I don't really know how that connects to anything. Well, actually, I heard Disney like underpays people, so maybe like finance, budgeting. But yeah, I really just wanted Bonk on my team. So yeah, and they're like responsible and stuff. So that's my cabinet. Yeah.